and welcome to this edition of the Levy Forum. I'm Jared Fry, General Manager of Medina TV, and joining me in studio is Rob Travis, Manager of the Transportation Department for Medina City School District. Rob, welcome, and thanks for spending time with us here today.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Oh, sure, and we're going to focus on some of the things with all the different levies we've had here in the Medina City School District over the years, especially in regards to transportation. So let's kind of back things up, clear back to 2009. We had a levy failure in 2009, which made the district look to take busing to the state minimums as one of the budget cuts because of the levy failure, and that started in 2010. That took the busing down to a 2-mile radius, so anyone within 2 miles did not receive the busing, and it stopped busing to the high school as well. Am I correct in saying all that correctly?
Correct, yes.
And I guess as you look at that, how did that kind of affect the transportation department in terms of your fleet and in terms of what happened with the department with those cuts?
With the failure of the levy, beginning in January of 2010, we went to state minimum transportation, which meant that 26 buses came off the road. Reduced transportation services to over 4,500 students. And then over the years, from that point forward, the fleet that was on site deteriorated, and we got into leasing buses to other districts. We sold off some of the fleet during that time to try and save some money. But essentially it reduced the transportation department to half of what we were running prior to that.
And like you said, you kind of touched on there, it created some obstacles for you because one, the district, because of the levy failure, was trying to save cost and save money where they could, and you had these fleet 20 plus buses that were no longer in service.
Correct.
But still needed to be serviced, and you had to look at options, like you said, whether that was leasing them out or selling them off.
Correct. Buses, as long as they're owned by the district and in the fleet, they still have to be maintained, they still have to be state inspected, we still had to carry insurance on them, and they had to be ready for use, which became quite a burden with a large number of buses sitting inactive. So we looked at different ways, leasing buses to other districts that were short was one of the things that we did, and then looking at the number that we didn't need, and we sold some of the buses off while they still had a high value to get rid of at the time. And
that wasn't something you just did in that first year in 2010.
No.
This is because
that was over a 5-year, almost a 5-year period.
Correct, because you're waiting on levy or something to come along to be able to bring those services back. And that did happen in November of 2013 when we were able to pass the emergency levy. And then busing was restored back to that 1-mile radius and back to the high school, which I know firsthand from working here in the high school. People were thrilled with that because parents having to work their work schedules to be able to get pulling in, and then of course the long lines. It's a lot different when you've got, a bus can hold, 30, 40 kids. You break that out to 30 or 40 parents having to pull in with their cars. It really created quite a logjam here at the high school. So I know that was a very welcome sight to have that come back.
Yeah, the transportation was, the levy passed, and we reinstated transportation for the following school year. And in that time frame, we had to hire and train 30 drivers. We had to replace buses that we sold, plus purchase buses that had deteriorated to the point where it wasn't cost effective to keep maintaining them. And then that led to, over the next couple of years, purchasing 48 new school buses. And we have done that, reinstated transportation. And like you said, there's so much more to transportation when you cut it than just a bus going away. You have the impact of the infrastructure, parents having to travel. They may be having to travel to 2 different schools at the same time. You have the impact on the environment for the increased number of cars on the road. So there's a lot that happens when reduction in transportation. First and foremost is safety of students now having to walk. So it was a very welcome sight to have it come back.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. I mentioned the high school, but you can pick any of the schools in the area. When you get to that 1-mile radius, that's a lot of cars, and with students walking, the combination of the two reads for a high risk in safety, as opposed to, like you said, when you're on a bus, it kind of alleviates a lot of those cars and a lot of that foot traffic, and makes it a lot safer environment. Now, you also talked about, we'll talk on the buses in a minute, about the effects on that, and I guess you went from decreasing the fleet, and like you said, that's a lot to have to do once that levy passes in 13, to get the staff trained again, start getting the buses back that you, because of attrition, had to either get rid of, sell, or you leased out. Kind of brought a big task onto the transportation department, because this was something the residents, I know they talked about classes and curriculum and things of that nature, but one of the biggest things they wanted to have back was the busing. And that's what helped with the passages of this levy, is the busing returning. So it really did bring a lot on your plate to bring everything back up to speed and in a timely fashion, so that the residents could see what they voted for.
Right, correct. It was quite a task to take on, but a lot of good people in the department, and we were able to get it all in place. So.
Yeah, and I guess that's the importance of how quickly you guys are willing to help out and work with the residents to meet their demands or their request of what they wanted to see with passage of the levy. And you guys were able to do that. And then I guess the next step in that, going back to the state of these buses. And usually, just like anyone, I mean, we all own cars or do things like that. There's a certain life cycle to a car before you go out and buy your next new car. I guess it's kind of the same status with buses. Like you said earlier, you've got to keep them maintained and up to state qualifications, but also they have shelf lives as well as how long they could last. And that was kind of one of the biggest tasks you had with bringing buses back, is getting the fleet back up to serviceable numbers, I guess.
Correct. Ultimately, with a school bus, you want to keep it on a 12-year replacement cycle. And at the time that the levy passed, we were running buses that were 15, 18 years old, beyond their life expectancy. Maintenance costs increased quite a bit. So they become very expensive to maintain and operate. So with the passage of the levy, the replacement of buses, getting them back into the fleet and back onto that replacement schedule, and then doing things like the department, we've designed and built our own bus wash system. So that helps with the rust and decay on the underside, because we can drive through a wash bay now, wash the underside, rinse the salt and stuff off of them. So that will help maintain their value in the future and decrease their maintenance costs while we own them.
And I think it's a key thing to bring up, because you're looking at, you brought back close to 48 buses in that, and you do want to take care of them, and I think that's something people don't realize. I mean, those buses get up in the morning and make their rounds through all the schools, elementary, middle, and high school, and that's driving on roads in the winter that are heavily salted and have a lot of that get up under those wheel wells, get under the undercarriage, and not having a wash or a way to clean something big. It's not like it's a small car you can just run through a car wash real quick at your local convenience store. You've got to make an effort to get those clean, and being proactive and going out and making a purchase, using the tax dollars wisely to maintain and extend the life of these buses was a great purchase for you guys.
Yeah, and I think it's important to note that it's not something that we purchased. We actually design it and build it in-house ourselves.
Oh, really?
And we did so without any increase to a budget. We used diesel fuel prices that year were low, so we had some funds left over in an existing account. We took advantage of that, and that's how we put the system in place.
That's great. Number one, cost savings on the fuel, and then using that money wisely to extend the life of these vehicles, which is a major purchase. I mean, the buses aren't inexpensive, so to be able to get a better life cycle out of these, and hopefully a little longer life, is a great thing and shows great effort on your department. And I think that's what the voters are happy to see, is using money wisely and putting it to where it needs to be put to good use. So that was an excellent thing. So now you guys are facing another levy that's coming up here, our substitute emergency levy in passage of the 5.9 mil emergency levy in 2013. I'll get it out. 2013, it provided the students the safety and security they needed by bringing those buses back. We kind of touched on that. And that's something that you guys are looking to continue. with this 5.2 mil substitute levy. You're looking to be able to continue these services, but not just continue them, but kind of like you talked about with the bus wash, finding ways to bring more to the constituents and for the safety of these students. And those are things you're looking at improving, not only maintaining the fleet, but you guys also do some other services.
We're always looking at ways to operate more efficiently, whether it's with our school bus fleet, our maintenance fleet, which we maintain, or opening our garage for outside services. We contract with other districts to do repair work on their vehicles. Mm-hmm. We also do field trips, not only for our students, but for students in neighboring districts when they need help. So stuff like that. Also looking at doing some software enhancements to increase efficiency with our routing software, and then also with the way we request and manage field trips and the billing of those trips, mm-hmm. looking at some electronic options there.
And I think one of the keys you talk about too, there's the Remind system, I think is a good one to touch on. You've had that for a while, but you're always looking at ways to enhance it and improve it to make it better for the parents. And I think it's a great thing. And I think maybe just in case parents aren't aware of it, maybe touch on that a little bit.
For those who don't know what Remind is, it's a free service to the district. It's a text messaging service, and we have it broken down into groups for high school, middle school, and elementary. And the information is on our website how to sign up for it. Basically, if we have a vehicle that's running more than 5 minutes late in the district, or if there has been some type of delay with road conditions or an accident or any type of incident that would result in a delay of school bus service, either on drop-off or pickup, our office staff is able to log onto the computer and send out a quick text message to all the parents that have signed up mm-hmm. for the service. The parents need to sign up for it, and then if they're ready to get rid of it, they have to opt out of it. But it gives us a good way to quickly communicate with the community.
Mm-hmm. And nothing better for a parent on a cold winter's day when they got to take their kid up to the bus stop to know that bus is maybe running 10 or 15 minutes late. And so it's a great service and something everyone should take advantage of. What's the easiest way for them to sign up for that?
If they want to visit our website, mm-hmm. The district website and the transportation page, mm-hmm. all the information is there. Okay. If they get the information from the website and are having difficulty, they're welcome to call our office, and we'll walk them through it. Okay,
great. And that's not the end of the software that you guys look into. You also examine and look at different routing software as well to try to make it the most efficient manner for these buses to get from all the different locations they have to get to.
Correct. We currently use a program called Edulog for education logistics out of Missoula, Montana. Mm-hmm. And it's a routing software, which is it's a tool to help us do what we do, but it tracks student database, medical information, helps us with the routing of the buses and scheduling. So it helps us to get the buses where they need to go, mm-hmm. and get them there on time. I think people are probably most shocked to find out for us, we travel a little over 500,000 miles a year and never leave town. Mm-hmm. So parents see the bus roll up, and the kids get on, but there's so much more to it than that.
Well, and I think that plays in, especially since you bring up that mileage, that's a little astounding. I mean, every 3,000, 5,000 miles now on your normal vehicle, you've got to do maintenance, oil changes, repairs. Right. You're putting that many miles on buses year in, year out. That's a lot of maintenance and repair that goes into those buses.
And some of the things with maintenance and repairs, we use synthetic fluids to extend oil mm-hmm. change intervals, and so we do those types of cost-saving things. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's a lot of miles to cover.
And that's a lot of things to look at too, like you said, trying to find ways to save money for those repairs with oil changes, also with fuel, trying to look for the best way to get the best fuel pricing that you can for the buses, because not only that, you're driving that many miles, you're using a lot of fuel as well. So definitely still trying to maintain and find ways to save the district money and still maintain a quality bus fleet. Right. And I think that's definitely a department that I think gets overlooked a lot of times in the district. People just do take advantage that well, my kid gets on a bus and he gets to school. They're not realizing the safety involved with that, how safe they are. You're putting them on buses that are, state inspected and going to really take care of those kids and get them from point A to point B very safely, and a quality staff as well that you've trained and put together that are taking care of all those kids. So,
they do a wonderful job. Yeah. And I think another thing that folks don't realize, not only are we doing all of our repairs in-house and everything to maintain and keep them at a high standard, but the State Patrol actually comes on site once a month to do inspections of our vehicles. So parents are always shocked to find out that they're inspected that frequently by the state. So it's not only us maintaining them to that standard, it's also the State Patrol coming in and inspecting them to ensure they're maintained to that standard. Right.
And it's nothing more important. And then sometimes they'll do ride-alongs as well. Is that correct? To kind of watch traffic as well?
Yep. They will. A lot of times during School Bus Safety Week, we will have troopers ride our buses with us to get a feel for what the motoring public is doing, if they're passing buses when the red lights are on, that type of thing. So it's a really good partnership with the State Patrol. And
it's been a great responsibility for your department, like you said, for maintenance, safety, the children's best interest, the parents' best interest. You definitely juggle a lot there, and that's something that the current levy and then passage of this substitute emergency levy allows you to continue those services and still look at ways to expand and give better service to the students and parents.
Yes.
So that's something definitely we'll keep in mind on. And of course, with this upcoming levy, you want to keep your information out there. If you have any questions about the levy or anything we might have discussed in this program here today, you can email www.levyinfo2018@medinabees.org. Again, levyinfo2018@medinabees.org. If you have any information you want to find out about the levy, whether it's busing, transportation, any curriculum, any other questions you might have regarding the levy, you can go to www.medinabees.org. You'll see a little logo just like the one we have here on our screen. You can click on that, and that'll take you right into all the levy information. Of course, if you don't want to use the internet or anything like that, you can do it the old-fashioned way and pick up your phone and call 330-636-3010. Again, 330-636-3010 to get all your information about that levy. And any other questions you want to have answered, they'll take your call and gladly take care of that for you. So, Rob, I guess as we go to wrap things up here, I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. I know you guys do. I think you're one of the more underrated departments. People not realizing everything that you guys do in transportation. And usually when you get the phone calls, sometimes it's the beginning of the year when people are have questions or concerns about getting their kid on the bus or bus times or things of that nature. They're not always the most pleasant of phone calls, but you guys handle them well and do a great job taking care of our students here in the Medina City School District.
Thanks for saying so. I'm biased. I think we have a wonderful department. We have wonderful staff. We have a great community. This has been a great place to work. I've worked in other districts, and I think we do a fantastic job all the way around.
And I think with the passage of the levy, we're able to implement the busing back in 2014 with the levy passage in 2013. You were able to get this fleet back up and running, and it's something you're hopefully going to be able to maintain for years to come with passage of another levy here this year.
That'll help keep us on track, keep us on our replacement schedules, and keep us able to provide the safe service that we do now for the kids here in Medina.
And again, that goes back to the theme we've said all along, and of course it always says that, same cost, bright future is the slogan. You're just looking to continue what the residents have asked for.
Correct.
Whether it's curriculum or transportation, that's what the district has been doing and is looking to continue to do with this passage of this substitute emergency levy at 5.2 mils.
Correct.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for your time here today, and it was great to talk to you about the busing and everything like that. I'm sure if people ever want to come down and check out what you guys do, you're more than welcome to show them around there and see the great services you guys have.
We're always happy to show off what we have out there.
Exactly, and great. We appreciate having you in studio here today, Rob. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to call the district at 330-636-3010, or go to the website, www.medinabees.org, to get all your Levy information. Just look for this logo right here. Click on it, and we'll get you everything you need to know. For Rob Travis, I'm Jared Fry. Thanks for tuning in to this edition of our Levy Forum.